Breathe deep. Imagine your legs more limber in Duluth Trading Double Flex Denim. Envision euphorically squatting for that can of suds, bending for your toolbox in a state of bliss, lunging for your laser level on a whole new level. Relax and allow the flex to fill you with ability. Find your inner flex in Double Flex Denim only at Duluth Trading.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Psst, healthcare pros, word's out, and it's too good to keep quiet. Look, LinkedIn is revolutionizing job hunting, making it possible to search by specialty, shift preference, and salary. Endless scrolling is out. Whether it's a mental health therapist or dental hygienist, finding the perfect role is faster and easier than ever. Head to linkedin.com/healthcare and start your search today.
They say that whatever happens on vacation stays on vacation. But what if your vacation involves a trip to Sicily and being inspired by 50 Shades of Grey? The end result is a trilogy of films that tries to add the X to Netflix while seeking to find how low the bottom of the barrel can be. It's a trifecta of titillation as we spend our 200th episode trying to see if the 365 Days Trilogy is not that bad. Welcome, one and all, to episode 200 of It's Not That Bad, the podcast that looks for A grades in B movies. Hello to all of our listeners in London, Ontario, and around the world. How the heck are you guys doing? And before we even get started, thank you, every single one of you, for helping us get to 200 episodes of It's Not That Bad. That is 200 episodes of ridiculously bad movies. And that's not even counting the over 100 episodes of Keep Watch Pass we've done and the 3 times a year specials grading on a curve. It has been 4 years of absolute fun, frivolity, and flicks. And here to join me for this very special episode, my lovely wife, Carrie. Carrie, how are you doing?
I'm great. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, right? 200 episodes. If you go back to like when we started this, right? Sitting in my small little office with trying to split the audio channels on the microphones that we had, like you had to understand the small little room we were recording in because it was the quietest room in the house. Did you ever think we'd get to this point? 200 episodes, little recording studio in our basement, and still a world of bad movies to watch.
I was going to say it's a lot of popcorn, a lot of movie snacks, and a lot of cuddles. So it's been a good run.
I'm surprised you didn't say alcohol because some of these movies did require the necessity for a beverage or two.
Well, that too, but I was trying to keep this PG because when we start to talk about...
Do you know what movies we're about to talk about? You're going to try and keep it PG?
Not the same.
I mean, let's be honest. These movies are pretty much drinking games unto themselves.
What would be the rating? Is this like considered R or triple X?
You have to. It's not triple X. Like we're not actually watching penetration here. Before I even get to what we're about to talk about, because oh boy, we got a movie for you. Actually, 3 movies for you. I do need to point out that the movies we are talking about depict a whole ton of sex. So, of course, the conversation that evolves from this is probably going to contain
explicit content.
Exactly, right? I feel like we need a disclaimer now at the beginning of the show.
Warning.
Warning. The following podcast contains dialogue about sex and whatever else they get into, because there's a whole lot of what the hell is going on in this film. But we thought about this, right? How do we celebrate our 200th episode? And we could have sat there and taken, some movies here, some movies there. We talked about it a little bit, but then because we have bad ideas on this show, and boy, do we have bad ideas. We're like, well, there's this one movie on Netflix. It's got a 0% rating. Then you realize, wait a second, it's a trilogy. And every single movie in the trilogy has a 0% rating. And the very first film, 365 Days, is on the list on Wikipedia of films considered to be the worst.
Incredible. And I'm just going to put it out there right off the top. It's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad.
Now, you mentioned there's 3 movies.
Mm-hmm.
And you're an editor.
Yes.
If you were to cut out the gratuitous sex scenes
and scenes that have dialogue that make no sense, maybe we have a movie.
One movie.
That's about it.
Out of 3.
We have one movie and a recycle bin full of spank bank material.
The entire second movie was all sex. Doesn't matter if it's the main couple, the friends, it was all sex. I think there was maybe one actual scene in the movie that tied 1 and 3 together.
You're not wrong.
I'm not. And I remember watching it thinking, okay, there's got to be a plot here, like move the storyline forward. You have to wait till the last third of the movie to get any sort of plot or any sort of further character building and introducing of new characters.
Well, give the people what they came for, because they came for all the smut.
It was all about the sex.
All right, so let me explain what we're about to do. We're going to take these 3 films, 365 Days, 365 Days This Day, and the next 365 Days, and treat them all as one film. So we're basically covering the trilogy as one big, long-ass 6-hour softcore porn film, which is basically what it feels like.
And just to clarify, is it 3 years that all of this storyline is taking place?
Or did it just feel like 3 years while watching it?
Or over 1 year in the span of 365 days?
Yeah.
It's based on 1 year, right?
It is based on 1 year. So let me give you a little bit of background before we even get to the trailer eyes here. So the storyline over the 3 films starts on Laura, the main character's 29th birthday, and ends the end of film 3 on her 30th birthday. So the trilogy itself in storyline is exactly 365 days.
A lot happens in a year.
That is the worst freaking year of anyone's life, or the best, depending on which angle you're looking at it from.
And there were many angles.
Upside down being one of them, I think.
They crossed the axis on a few.
They crossed a few things with an X in it in this film. But we're about to get into this. We're going to talk about all 3 films. But before we do, it is time to take the 365 Days trilogy and trailerize it.
If you're looking to Netflix and chill, this isn't the movie series for you. Because you'll spend 6 hours staring at the TV asking all the questions. Like, when did Netflix start streaming softcore porn? Do these people work or do they just vacation? What part about forced confinement is sexy? And what the actual F is going on? At the center of it all is Laura, a woman who answers the question, how many outfits would you like to wear? With an emphatic yes. While on vacation in Sicily, she's kidnapped by Massimo, a mafia boss who has spent 5 years looking for her after seeing her once from a distance, before being shot during some deal gone wrong. And the movie continues to make no sense from there. He makes her a deal. Stay with him for 365 days against her will, and if she doesn't fall in love with him, she can go. Apparently that, and a whole lot of really aggressive possessiveness is enough to make her 365 shades of horny. Over 3 films, we'll witness 3 volumes of the Kama Sutra come to life. Listen to oddly specific song lyrics. Search copious dictionaries in hopes of making sense of the dialogue, and in the end, find ourselves understanding why people watch steamy telenovelas. Because you just can't look away from cray-cray.
Strap on a fake wiener and strap in for the peep show that is the 365 Days Trilogy. Rated TVMA for Massimo's an asshole.
Oh, well, you just put that out on Front Street, didn't you?
Darn right. Darn right. Well, when you have 6 hours of film to condense into one trailerize, you kind of have to go full bore into this.
You kind of summed it up beautifully.
That is maybe the best description of the 365 Days Trilogy that may exist out there on the internet's dear world. You're welcome.
Well played. And you just saved our listeners 6 hours of viewing pleasure? Question?
Well, you're viewing someone's pleasure, that's for sure.
With a tiny bit of storyline, but the story's really good.
Well, it's not how big your storyline is.
Apparently it is.
Your earbud fell in a coffee cup. You need a taco pick-me-up. When modern life gets rough, grab the timeless taste you love. Paso, the old El Paso.
Once upon a mundane morning, Barb's day got busy without warning. A realtor in need of an open house sign. No, 50 of them, and designed before 9.
My head hurts.
Any mighty tools to help with this plight? Aha! Barb made her move. She opened Canva and got in the groove.
Bulk creating Canva sheets. Create 50 signs fit for suburban streets.
Done in a click, all complete.
Sweet!
Now, imagine what your dreams can become when you put imagination to work at canva.com.
All right, well, let's get into who is in this movie. The movie stars, and I'm going to apologize in advance because this is a Polish production. You have a lot of names that are probably going to be really hard for me to pronounce. So I'm going to do my best. So if I mess up anyone's name, I'm truly sorry, but I'm going to give it the old college try. The movie stars Anna Maria Sikluka, Michelle Maron, Otar Seralidze, Magdalena Lamparaska, Natasha Urbanska, Simone Susina, and Karolina Pisarek. Now, this is the trilogy. This is the main cast from the trilogy. There are others out there, but we're talking about the main people here.
That sounded hot.
I'm sorry, would you like me to say it slower?
You could literally like read the phone book in some kind of accent. And that would be hot.
This film, the very first film, 365 Days, is actually the movie debut of Anna Maria Sikluka, who of course played Laura in this. The second movie, 365 Days This Day, is actually the movie debut of Simone Susina, who plays Nacho. And Michelle Maron had actually given up on acting before getting the call to do this film. Funny story, he was working as a gardener at the time, got the call, and apparently said to his boss, yeah, I'm going to go home and I'm not feeling well, and got on a plane and went to Poland to go be in this movie as Massimo. The movies are based on the books written by Bianca Lipinska. Now, she actually says that she went to Sicily and was inspired by her trip to write this series. She's claimed it, quote unquote, as somewhat autobiographical. I don't know what the hell happened to her on that trip, but oh boy. Funny story, she actually cameoed in all 3 films. In the first movie, there is a wedding scene. She's the bride. In the second movie, she plays the character Elena. And in the third, she's a nun that gets passed by in one of the scenes.
Oh.
So we have a writer cameo in all 3.
Fascinating. I'm trying to think back to the wedding.
Yeah,
Like
it was
the
just
first one.
it was just happening in the background while Laura was talking to her parents.
Right. Okay.
All 3 films were directed by Barbara Białowas and Tomasz Mendes. There's no budget actually listed for any of these films. However, 365 Days, the very first film, did have a box office release in Poland and the UK where it accumulated a box office total of $9.45 million. On the February 14th, 2020 weekend, before everything shut down, 365 Days was actually the #1 film in Poland. Of course, with a film rated as well as this one is, there's going to be some accolades. For the first film, for 365 Days, at the 41st Razzies, it won for Worst Screenplay. Now, Bianca Lipinski is actually the second writer in Razzies history to win the Razzie for adapting her own book into a film. The only one else, Haywood Gould, who adapted his book Cocktail, starring Tom Cruise. The movie was nominated for Worst Picture but lost to Absolute Proof. Michelle Morone was nominated for Worst Actor but lost to Mike Lindell, the Pillow Guy, for Absolute Proof. Anna Maria Ciacluca was nominated for Worst Actress but lost to Kate Hudson for Music. Barbara Bielos and Tomasz Mendes were nominated for Worst Director but lost to Sia for Music. And it was nominated for Worst Remake, Ripoff, or Sequel, kind of like a ripoff of 50 Shades of Grey, but lost to Doolittle. At the 2021 Polish Film Awards, it won the Wielki Wash, which is the Grand Snake, the award for Worst Film that year. And of course, as mentioned before, the film is on the Wikipedia list of films considered to be the worst. But then, in 2022, we had not one but two sequels dropped in the same year. Both of them were nominated at the 43rd Razzies. They were nominated for Worst Screen Combo, both films as a combo, but lost to, and I'm quoting this here from Wikipedia, Tom Hanks and his latex-laden face and ludicrous accent in Elvis. And both sequels were nominated for Worst Remake, Ripoff, or Sequel, but lost to Disney's Pinocchio, the Tom Hanks one. It was not a good year for Tom Hanks. But of course, the reason why we are here are the critics. Oh boy, let me go through this one here. For 365 Days, the first film, as mentioned before, has a tomatometer of 0%. Popcorn meter, 36%. At IMDb, it sits at 3.3 stars out of 10. At Letterboxd, it sits at 1.1 stars out of 5 for a 22% score. And at the movie database, they were smoking something because this has a 70% score over there, giving this one an aggravated aggregate of 32.2%. Now, for the second film, 365 Days, This Day. Tomatometer, 0%. Popcorn meter, 44%. At IMDb, it sits at 2.7 stars out of 10 for a 27% score. Letterboxd, 1.1, 22%. Over at the movie database, 59%. And this is the only one of the three films with a Metacritic score sitting at 8, giving this film an aggravated aggregate of 26.6%, making this the lowest of the three. And then you have the next 365 days. Tomatometer, 0%. Popcorn meter, 36%. IMDb, 29% score. Letterboxd, 1.2 for a 24% score. And at the movie database, a 64% score for an aggravated aggregate of 30.6. Now, that may seem low, but I want to put things into perspective here. Okay? We pop on over to Letterboxd, which is a fairly reliable source for ratings. Take every single film that has a rating on Letterboxd. Every film. Sort that database by lowest score first. All three are in the bottom 12 of all movies on Letterboxd.
So 3 out of 12.
3 out of 12.
Only leaving 9 other contenders.
Yeah. So 365 Days, the very first film, is the 7th lowest rated film on Letterboxd. 365 Days This Day is the 4th lowest rated film on Letterboxd. And the next 365 Days is the 12th lowest. Now, we've already talked about some of these movies in the bottom 12 on the various shows on this podcast channel. Of course, we have covered the worst film of them all, Dragon Ball Evolution, which is, it's low. It's low. And 2 of the films we have discussed on episodes of Grading on a Curve. That being Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and The Mousetrap.
So you had mentioned earlier 50 Shades of Grey in comparison.
Because we're talking about a trilogy of films that are based on, I guess, taboo love.
Yeah. So just help me understand here. All 3 365-day movies
Sit
are
at a 0% score, yes. On the tomatometer, yes.
Okay. What is 50 Shades of Grey sitting at?
Okay, so we've talked about 50 Shades of Grey because we are who we are. We talked about that as our like Valentine's Day episode because we're that broken. So the original 50 Shades of Grey movie sits at a 25% tomatometer. 50 Shades Darker, the second film, sits at 11%, and 50 Shades Freed also sits at 11%.
Interesting. I'm going to put it out there. I enjoyed. Now, I haven't seen 2 and 3 of the 50 Shades saga.
Well, we got a few more Valentine's Day coming up. So
right.
I guess what we're doing for the next 2 years.
Yep, coming up. But
watching smut. That's what we're doing.
It's what we do.
Right.
But I, as far as the storyline, so much more. And this is only comparing the first of the 50 Shades movies.
Right.
But I so enjoyed the setup of this movie, 365 Days, 100 times more than 50 Shades.
I mean, let's be honest. We've been kind of taking the piss out of this film for the past 20 minutes. Understand that once we get through all of that, this is like a therapy session for the movie, right? We break it down and then we build it back up because we are here to find the good things to say. And believe it or not, I actually have a lot of good things to say about these films. I
absolutely agree. I have very little negative to say once you get past the smut scenes. If you were to look at the actual storyline, glowing. I love the concept.
Yeah. Like I said, we're probably going to still make a little bit of fun out of this, but just know that there is actually an appreciation for what's on the screen with Anna Maria Sikluka, who played Laura. And again, I apologize if I mess up these names. Remember, Canadian, idiot, basement, microphone, that's what I am. But Laura, the center of everyone's attention, your thoughts on her. Keeping in mind that these 3 films are her first ever 3 films that she's ever starred in.
Damn girl, you absolutely rocked. Like, when you think about typical mafia movies, right? The mob boss. Now, the wife of the mob boss is always protected amongst the family. But damn, did Laura not need protection. No. She was kick-ass, a strong woman, and I absolutely loved her strength of character. Loved everything about her performance. Maybe not everything.
Maybe not everything.
You know, but you know what? She played her strength so well. So well.
When you consider that this film is going to be compared to 50 Shades of Grey, there's no question whatsoever. The 50 Shades trilogy, the 365 Days trilogy, there's no escaping drawing lines of comparison. So let's get this out of the way right off the bat. I like what Anna Maria Sikluka did with Laura more than what Dakota Johnson did with Anastasia Steele. Now, did the script do either of them justice? No. But I feel like Anna Maria Sikluka, like Laura had the much more emotional grounding of the 2 characters.
She also had very much that strength of character that she needed in this role, where, I mean, the situation was a little bit different because in 50 Shades, Dakota Johnson went into the agreement somewhat willingly. In 365 Days, Laura didn't ask for this to start.
No,
she was
didn't.
Kidnapped. Now, I loved where she went from the victim. She went from, fighting back against Massimo, first of all, and then eventually, I don't know if it was the Stockholm syndrome started to kick in, but she started to kind of accept him. And then when she started to play with him,
That's the thing. You're going to have a power struggle dynamic between the two main characters, similar to what you had with 50 Shades.
Yeah, but in this case, she was having fun and she owned that relationship.
Yeah, because earlier on in the 365 Days film, in the first film, Massimo says that he's not going to touch her without her permission, even though he does a lot of touching before that, right? But he's not going to have sex with her without her permission, right? He wants her, he needs her to want it, right? Again, very similar to Anastasia signing off on the contract kind of thing. And yes, that contract signing scene in the first 50 Shades film is probably the best moment in that film because you do see the power dynamic in there. I think the other good thing for Laura is that unlike really anyone else in the film, all three films for that matter, Laura's the one that always seems to have a character there that's able to define her, right? Or at least to ground the character with roots of what she was before being kidnapped, right? So of course you have Olga, right? Her best friend. And the friendship between Olga and Laura is fantastic through all three films. Even when Olga starts doing, by the way, spoilers like a mofo. Even when Olga starts to, she gets engaged to Domenico and, starts to live that high life as well. Meanwhile, Laura's starting to spiral. You still see the strength of that friendship there. Her parents, in the third movie, it's a great emotional ground. Even the scene where she gets to know Amelia, who is Nacho's sister, I love those scenes for her. I absolutely, the only part of Laura that didn't make sense for me is the instant turn from I don't care, I don't want you to, okay, you can have sex with me now. Yes, he saved her from drowning, even though kind of made it so she fell into the water anyways. But that turn, it had to happen, but it seemed pretty flimsy, the switch. But even still, you get to the second film, and then she starts to play the role of the mafia wife.
And it was at that moment that I absolutely loved. The one thing I didn't get and I couldn't wrap my head around is as much fun as she was having living the high life and I get that at this point she kind of wanted to escape and she wanted to change her identity.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole blonde look, it just didn't fit.
No, it didn't.
I get that she's, at that point, it's almost like she's trying to change everything about herself in order to be free. And then she just goes back to her usual look. Now, first of all, I don't know how her hair grew back in that short amount of time.
Don't ask the questions.
Unless she was just wearing a wig.
See, here's the thing. Had it just been a wig for going out's fun with Olga, then you know what? I think that would have been kind of cool. Similar to, if you remember the movie Summer of Sam, that starred Mira Sorvino and John Leguizamo. There's that scene where Mira Sorvino puts on the wig and John Leguizamo's like, oh, it's like I'm cheating on you with you kind of thing, right? Like that would have made sense had it just been a wig, right? Who knows, right? Maybe the plan was all along was to make the 365 Days sequels. They kind of did a jump, right? Obviously, because we start with the blonde hair from the 365 Days film, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, my hair is long again, and back to being dark.
Although I love that the second movie started with her hair exactly as it left off in the first one.
Yeah.
Because I think that was so pivotal. Also, she made an absolutely stunning, beautiful blonde bride.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It just so worked for her, and especially her character at that moment, just the strength, and damn it, like Massimo was the mob boss, but she was the boss in their relationship. Like she owned him at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then she just snapped back and went back to like the longer brunette, darker hairdo, which I was like, okay, well, how did I can get if she had the same style or even the same length, but it literally went back to her hair from the first movie.
Yeah. If we're drawing another comparison to Dakota Johnson, again, we've watched the first 50 Shades of Grey film, right? We haven't watched the others. But I mean, there's something about Laura where she's almost fighting, she's playing dirty with Massimo early on in this trilogy, where, she's dressing to the nines, like being as sexy as possible, knowing that he has promised that he's not going to have sex with her unless she gives permission. Like that's a confidence game. Like even with Domenico's like, I don't know whether he's going to kill you or me or both. And it's like, okay, that this establishes the dynamic. This is her pushback. She's toying with him, right? Even though the toying kind of openly, I guess, reveals her, her eventual capitulation to his bargain. But yeah, it's literally like a tug of war for control in that first movie.
But she had that power behind her performance where I don't think Dakota Johnson, she's just such a sweetheart.
Mm-hmm.
As tough as she tries to be, I can't take her as seriously as I did the actress who played Laura. Like
Anna Maria Sikluka, yes.
Yeah, she was brilliant.
Yeah. I truly do hope that there are more bigger, deeper roles for Anna Maria Sikluka somewhere down the road. I hope someone doesn't take a look at the 365 Days critic ratings and write her off, because she actually is a really good actress. Michelle Marone, who plays Massimo Torricelli. Yeah, your thoughts?
Where do I begin? I'm going to throw it back to you because I'm sure that eventually I'm going to go off. But I liked him and I loved to hate him.
Yeah, I mean, he had admitted in interviews that he had to mentally prepare himself for this role because this is not him, right? This is he tries to create a genuinely unlikable human. This is where I think this trilogy of films falters in comparison to the 50 Shades of Grey series. Because Christian Grey, the struggle there is that Christian Grey is a man who likes control. But he finds himself unable to control himself around Anastasia Steele for reasons, right? Because book is going to book. Keep in mind, 50 Shades of Grey, the basis of that story started as Twilight fan fiction. So take that for what you will. But here, Massimo's a mob boss, a mafia boss. But yet, we don't really see a mafia much through the whole trilogy.
But you know what? He had that silent power. He didn't have to say or do much, but he was a force. He was a commanding presence. Where there was a phone call, and I don't think he said much aside from "do it" or
you make it sound like Starsky and
like
Hutch.
Now.
Yo, do it.
No, like where he was making the call to
have someone killed.
Like it was literally like he didn't have to say much. You didn't hear the conversation, but you knew someone was going to die.
Yeah. I mean, let's take a look at some of what I like to think of as problematic aspects of Massimo's character, right? The best scene, the one singular moment from the first film where I actually thought, okay, now this is the opportunity for Laura to actually fall for him, is that they're sitting at this big dinner table out in the backyard of his house kind of thing. And he says, I need you to teach me how to be gentle with you. And I'm like, oh, that's a great line. This is a moment, right? He's admitting to her that he doesn't know how to change himself to make her fall in love with him. But then all of that's forgotten for the rest of the damn trilogy.
I disagree. And you're right. I love that point. But I think the Christmas family dinner.
Okay, fair enough. Because the biggest problem for Laura at that point is she feels like she's not doing anything. And his gift to her is a fashion design company because she loves clothes, because she's dressed in apparently all the clothes through this entire series.
And I really think that was more of a script flaw as opposed to a performance, because he was so incredibly good at being a presence. He didn't have to say anything. Case in point, right from the get-go. He's on a flight. Something horrible's happening with his, I think it was like a cocaine shipment that was intercepted.
Some kind of drug deal. Yeah.
Something gone wrong. And he doesn't even have to use words. And the stewardess is down on him. Like, I'm sorry to summarize like the first half hour of the movie, but he is such a commanding presence that he doesn't even have to use words. He gets what he wants. Another example where he has that little sex breakout room and this other chick just comes in and it's like, wait, A, where the fuck did she come from? B, why is she even there if he's trying to woo Laura? Like, that's a fail.
While she's chained to the bed.
That's a fail right there. But again, it is his presence of power. And that is so great. It was so well performed. But as far as Laura falling in love with Massimo, it really was a hindrance. It really hindered the build of their relationship.
Yeah.
And I think that was a disservice.
I mean, let's call this what it is. The blowjob scene on the airplane, right? The fact that scene is intercut with Laura pleasuring herself with a dildo while she's on vacation or whatever, after whatever meeting she was done, kind of thing. That juxtaposition worked in that moment because he's pissed off and doing mafioso kind of things, right? She is unhappy in her relationship at the time, and she basically needs to pleasure herself in order to be able to feel pleasure, right? So that juxtaposition works. The whole scene where he brings that strange girl in while Laura's chained to the bed, gets a blowjob, and then like it's like I'm going to make you want me. And it's like that's your move, dude.
But I think again that was part of his power. That no, because he wanted to let her know that he's in charge, because that was the moment when she started to play with him, and she started to almost kind of take the reins in the relationship. And I think he wanted to assert himself and his ability to be the one in charge, whether it's good or bad. And I really think it was a disservice again, because their relationship, if he kidnapped Laura so that she would eventually fall in love with him, and she did, she married him, but I don't think there were enough tender moments between them to have it last.
That's the thing, is that through almost the entire trilogy, I mean, there are points of humanity and tenderness from Massimo at times. They're few and far between, but they are there. The problem is, for the majority of the film, he is possessive and controlling and dominating and
a bit aloof.
Yeah, he is.
Like uncaring. And
he's so focused on the business, which we never really get to see the business. I think that's one of the key things I wish we had seen more of, right? Show me the mafia boss doing mafia boss things, because then we understand that he deals with horrific, violent things on a regular basis. Meanwhile, he's trying to convince the woman that he has been infatuated with ever since being shot to actually love him. And he, because of the very nature of who he is and what he does, doesn't know how to get to, because he had never met her beforehand, right? He saw her on the beach with a set of binoculars right before a deal goes bad. And then he's pined for this thought of her for like years. Had a painting, a mural done in his bedroom made from the memory of what he remembers her to look like.
Which is kind of creepy, like stalker syndrome kind of thing.
Well, the fact that he was also with Anna at the time, like the rival mafia family girl or whatever kind of thing, in the idea of maybe merging the two families together because it's a mafia thing. But even though he's told her apparently that when I find this girl, I'm going to leave you. None of this makes Massimo a sympathetic figure. That's the problem I have with Massimo through the entire series. Had we seen a progressive dialing down, like almost like Laura would have been his salvation from a life of violence and criminality, then maybe I could feel a little bit more for Massimo, but I can't. He's too stuck in his own ways. And maybe that's a good thing for the story. I just don't see it here. I mean, for Michelle Morone to create such a character that makes you hate him, that's good acting. Except for. And here's where I have to remind everyone that we are going to drop spoilers like a mofo here. Except for when he plays the twin brother.
Oh.
However, because that is not good. Do you remember the first Die Hard film? Right?
Yeah.
Where Hans Gruber is trying to do something with the bombs that are in the roof, and John McClane stumbles upon him and he fakes being American. I love Alan Rickman. That was bad. This was worse. And also, yeah, I said twin brother. Like it's a freaking telenovela. Perché? Massimo? Perché? Oh, man. But yeah, like that whole turn in the second movie, like I understand why they put it there, right? Because they needed Laura to want to leave, right? But tell me the twin brother story angle wasn't cheesy as hell.
You know what? It was so pivotal for the movie to progress through the rest of the year. I mean, it was so necessary, although just one word could have changed his entire fate.
Yeah.
Because previous, he confesses to Laura that he has a brother.
And then wants to get busy.
He missed the word twin brother. That one word could have changed everything for him.
Oh yeah, I have a twin brother. The end.
So
like, that's pretty much it.
Here's the setup. Are we going with this?
We have said spoilers like a mofo twice now. Carry on.
So twin brother comes in, like Massimo's called away, and Laura's already sitting at a table fuming. Now, I don't know why she picked clearly a high-class event to like pick a fight with Massimo at that particular moment, but she was just pissed. She was pissed. It didn't help that Massimo left the table, left her alone. And then she looks up to see who she believes to be Massimo. Enter Anna, the ex-girlfriend, who, by the way, was threatening to kill Laura.
In the first movie, yes.
In the first movie, so there's already bad blood there. Anyway, ex-girlfriend Anna enters the picture. She's all over Massimo, or so we think. They trail off to a bedroom, and Laura follows.
The same bedroom that was used, or at least the same room that was used when she was chained to the bed and he was getting the blowjob.
Okay, so you can see, listeners, where this is going. The only thing I don't understand is Laura's character being a strong, independent, like powerhouse of a woman. If she walks into a bedroom and she believes that her husband is schlepping his ex-girlfriend, why she didn't grab a handful of her hair and just end it right there, I don't know. But hey,
I think because she knows that Anna is also part of a mafia crime family.
Didn't help, probably. Yep.
Yeah.
So she leaves. She leaves Massimo. She leaves her life as she knows it for the past year, and she leaves.
Not even the past year at that point. We're like halfway through the year.
And then
Nacho.
enters Nacho Man.
Nacho Man. Oh yeah.
But is he Nacho Man or is he Laura's man? We don't know.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, no, I find Massimo problematic from a character standpoint. Like, hey, stop grabbing the girl's neck. It's not sexy. It's not sexy.
Yeah. That was pretty much his finishing move.
That's his move, yeah. You make him sound like a wrestler.
Every goddamn scene, and we've seen a lot of positions, every scene he's grabbing at her neck, and I'm like, that's not sexy.
No.
Not sexy.
No, this isn't the chokehold mixed with the dick slam. That's no. Magdalena Lamparska, who plays Olga, Laura's best friend. Your thoughts on her?
I love her, and I literally need an Olga. I need like a bestie that is just so adorable as Olga was. I loved her. I loved everything about her.
That again, this goes back to character that humanizes the main character. Think about it, right? There's a lot of moments where in this film where you're sitting there and you're watching sex, to be honest, right? And there's dark moments here. And then in comes Olga and everything's happy again. I love the dynamic between the two. I love the fact that, it shows this anchor to Laura's past pre-Sicily life. And the third movie, she's basically comedic, relief. Like the whole, I don't know if it was necessary. The whole scene where Olga gets blitzed out of her mind at the fashion event and then gets literally fireman carried back to the hotel. And then she's trying to get back to the party because screw everyone. She's out for a good time. I don't know if that scene was needed, but as a palate cleanser mid-film, I kind of liked it.
I think it was, though, because when you think about it, these are mafia men's women.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always going to be, people in the family looking out for them. And that that poor man that had to try and take care of Olga in that moment.
No one shuts down Olga for the night. Heck no.
Yeah, he had a challenge on his hands. But you know what? She was fun and she brought just the perfect amount of that crazy energy, that free spirit that I think that Laura needed almost to kind of make her the grounded one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you needed it as comedic as it got in the third film. I think she was the perfect tonic in the second film. And the moments with Olga in the second film, I think, were some of the best ones of the second film. We didn't really see too much of her in the first, but I like that they brought her in near the end to be the bridesmaid for the wedding. Olga makes Laura a better character, and Olga gives us a likable person to take a break from all the mafioso stuff.
But I love that she's there.
Mm-hmm.
I love that she grounds Laura and brings her back to her roots and who she was before she was kidnapped, before she fell in love with Massimo and became a mob boss wife, right? And I love that she was brought into that world as well.
Yeah.
She wasn't just the outsider who was there to ground Laura. And I love that Laura had that ability to keep that relationship, that she wasn't completely captive. She wasn't completely held against her family, against her friends, that she was allowed to keep those connections.
Even the fact that when Laura says, I need my Olga, right? Massimo doesn't want anyone from Laura's family to be in Sicily. I mean, his whole reason is that he's trying to protect people and whatever. And I get it, right? Again, we still don't see really any of the danger or the violence that a mafia crime boss is involved in. You see the occasional seedy character, but that's about it.
Oh, but wait for it.
Oh, I know I wait for it, but still, it's one of those things where you're telling me Massimo is this scary dude. Show me, don't tell me.
But you know what? I think that they chose not to. I think that was a conscious decision, because if they had made him look stone cold, if they had shown the ugly side of what you would believe a mafia boss to be involved in, a lot of the violence, and you see a little bit of the drug use. You definitely see the commanding force where there was that private room at the club.
In the third film,
and he pulls the gun. No. I'm talking about the first one.
Oh, in the first one, yeah.
In the first one where he pulls the gun and you see his power.
Well, yeah.
He doesn't have to
because the guy tried to fondle Laura.
Yeah.
And then he shot his hand.
Yep.
Yeah. But I mean, even in the third film, right, when the relationship between Laura and Massimo is spiraling, right? And he's at this club kind of thing, and he does a little bit of cocaine, and there's one girl on his arm and some weird gimp woman who's like just opening her mouth like she's waiting for the fake dildo or whatever. We see Massimo not give in to that baser instinct. We see him constantly flashing back to that, that sexy scene kind of thing from earlier in the film where Laura is basically taunting and teasing Massimo in that little strip club section of the bar. Massimo could have been heartless and rootless in that moment. That was actually a good moment for him because he could have just given in to everything, but he didn't, right? Maybe the old Massimo did, but not there. So I guess we do see a little bit more progression in Massimo, but it has nothing to do with Olga, but I love what Olga brings to Laura.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana lets you buy your next car on your terms. Explore a massive inventory online, filter for what matters, and find your perfect match. Then choose delivery to your home or pick it up at one of Carvana's iconic car vending machines. Every car also comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you can make sure it's the right fit. Buy your car on Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Carvana. Wherever Bud goes, his harmonica goes with him. It's a pocket full of soul. Now he's living with prostate cancer. He asked his doctor about Xtandi enzalutamide. Xtandi 40 milligram tablets treats men with prostate cancer that has spread to other parts of the body and responds to a medical or surgical treatment to lower testosterone. Xtandi may cause serious side effects: seizure, a brain condition called PRESS, allergic reactions, heart disease that can lead to death, falls and bone fractures, swallowing problems, or choking that can lead to death. Stop Xtandi and get medical help at once if your face, tongue, lip, or throat start swelling. Tell your doctor at once if you faint, have a seizure, quickly worsening headache, decreased alertness, confusion, vision problems, chest pain or discomfort, or shortness of breath. Xtandi can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during and 3 months after Xtandi. Common side effects include muscle and joint pain, feeling unusually tired, hot flashes, constipation, less appetite, diarrhea, high blood pressure, bleeding, falls, fractures, and headache. Talk to your doctor and visit Xtandi.com.
And then you have Otar Saralidze, who plays Domenico, who eventually becomes the fiancé of Olga and is Massimo's right-hand man. Your thoughts on Domenico?
I love how he was kind of almost like he was taking care of Laura and she felt safe with him.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't like he's connected, but he's not, he has a really great heart and he's really funny. And it was almost kind of like, his line where he's like, I don't know if Massimo's going to kill you or me. He felt like a big brother to Laura, almost.
Yeah. The other thing, too, that I like is that once he becomes engaged to Olga, you see in him, in Domenico, the struggle between Laura's old life and like the levity of it and Massimo's life. Right. So you see the struggle of trying to balance both worlds. To the same token as well, I love how Olga makes him a little bit more fun, a little bit more loose kind of thing. Like You see that effect. And maybe there's a jealousy factor that Massimo can't let himself to be like Domenico. But then we have Simone Susina, who plays Nacho. Your thoughts on him?
I have many thoughts. I'm going to throw this over to you because I'm going to see how much you say about him.
All right. So let's start from the introduction, right? So all of a sudden, this guy shows up while Laura's on a balcony brooding, looking over her garden kind of thing. And he comes in and he's like, I'm Nacho, I'm the gardener kind of thing. And they have this little moment where Laura's like, I'm a wife, I don't know if I'm happy kind of thing. And, some weird philosophic topic or whatever. Let's get this out there right now. Nacho is the son of the head of a rival mafia gang. Okay.
Did they not vet him when they gave him the job as a gardener?
That's what I'm getting at here, right? So he knows, Massimo knows who Nacho is. So there's no way that he got in for work as a gardener. No ball cab as a taxi driver is going to hide that. No. They know exactly who Nacho is, and Nacho knows who Massimo is. And even if they didn't let him in and hire him as a gardener, there's no way he's getting on the grounds because they know who Nacho is because he's part of a rival gang. Even though the fact that he's apparently trying to get rid of the mafia life out of his family, even though he knows who his father is, and he does all this stuff out of loyalty and family and whatever, but they know who Nacho is. There's no way they're hiring him as a gardener, and there's no way he's getting past security. None.
Further to that, and what was killing me, now that we can finally talk about it, I can talk it out, in the first movie, where their car is intercepted, they go into the tunnel, and the rival family intercepts and does something horrible to a pregnant Laura and her bestie Olga.
Even though no one but Laura and Olga know that she's pregnant.
Okay, but still, thus something happened. She lost the baby in order to survive. That would have been, would it not, have been Nacho's family that was involved.
Yes, but if Nacho is in fact trying to leave behind his family legacy, he's loyal to the family, but he doesn't do the mob work. Let's take him at his word. So Nacho becomes the ideal, right? A relaxed life of love and family. Because we don't get mafia vibes off Amelia. We don't initially get mafia vibes off Nacho. We don't, right? And even once it's revealed, we still don't, right? So for Laura, Nacho is almost a safe haven. And of course, he's there in the second movie, right when Laura runs away. He intercepts her. So the other guy doesn't pick her up and do away with her in order to put leverage on Massimo to give up the head of the crime family. And then so the twin brother can take over. Like, Nacho's there and he's in the know. So I don't think he's fully disconnected from the family business, but it's just so convenient for him to be there. And there's no way that anyone from the rival family is getting him in there. And there's no way. And then Laura starts to ask these questions like, so what do you do? This is a pretty, elaborate spread for a gardener. And then we see him look away and go, I told you it's my father's. We'll leave it at that. Okay, let's go surfing. What? Laura, you're smarter than this. Come on.
Okay, but has she found who she's meant to be with?
She doesn't even know who she. For all we know, she should be with Olga, because that's a deep friendship there. But part of the problem is that for the entire second film, after Laura's been driven away by what she thinks she saw, then she starts having these elaborate wet dreams that you're not quite sure if they're dreams or not, because they don't really make much distinction, right? There's no camera filter on the lens kind of thing, or does it now it's a dream sequence? No. For all we know, she's been stumping Nacho the whole time until we realize, oh no, she just has really elaborate music video looking wet dreams.
So you know what's funny? You mentioned the music choice of the songs that pretty much eerily tell the story.
Yeah.
But they missed a most obvious choice from, I believe it's Matchbox 20. Everyone here is thinking about someone else.
Okay. I don't think they can afford that song.
That would have been that would have literally, between Massimo remembering and thinking back fondly to Laura and her dismissing the pole dancers so that she can take over.
Right.
To Laura fantasizing
about Nacho
and the things that he can do.
I mean, I fantasize about nachos all the time, but that's because I'm hungry.
Taco Bell doesn't count here.
It makes me angry too. But okay, since we're talking about Laura's wet dreams here, third film, she has this dream where she's making love to Massimo. And then, like, oh, you watch what's going to happen. Nacho's going to come in. Then
no, it was the other way. She started with Nacho.
No, she started with Massimo in that dream, and then Nacho comes in. And then, this is the part that confuses me here, right? Like, I can appreciate Laura fantasizing about Nacho while making it with Massimo. I get it, right? She's fantasizing about the life that could be. Okay, fine. But then in this dream, she's got both men. I get it. It's supposed to be this is supposed to be her conflict, her inner conflict, her husband or the man that she finds she's fallen in love with. Okay, fine. But then in her dream, the two guys start making out with each other, completely ignoring her. What is that supposed to mean?
Well, I'm not a dream expert. I don't know. Maybe it symbolizes, like, who is she going to choose? Like, she knows she has to make a choice.
Yeah.
Between the two of them. Maybe she chooses herself.
That dream sequence was fine until that moment, because at that point, it made no sense. It's that was for titillation and that's it.
Okay. I mean, yeah. But on the other hand, it could very well be, no, I choose me. It could.
That only would have worked if she had gotten up and left the two of them in bed.
She was kind of
in the
pinned
dream
down.
sequence. Well, yeah, exactly. They're kind of like,
yeah, leave them both.
Yeah, dream sequences are supposed to make sense, I guess. Natasha Urbanska, who plays Anna. This is the Massimo's ex, who's also high up in the rival mafia crime family that we never see do any mafia crime. Your thoughts on Crazy Girl?
Yeah. I found myself asking, well, why the hell doesn't she just marry the twin brother and call it a day? But obviously he's kind of disowned from the family.
Yes. Yeah. So it's his whole thing is that he doesn't want to live on the handouts from Massimo. So clearly he's still getting family money, but he's got something against the family. It's whatever, right? Anna makes sense as a scorned woman. You know, think about it. She was with Massimo, even though for all the time she was with Massimo, he was still trying to find this elusive saw her once girl. Like,
okay, but then he's not fully there. And
no,
like,
so
what
why
is
did she leave?
Right?
Like, Massimo ain't that good a guy.
Damaged goods,
right?
Okay, but then clearly it's for money, not love.
Yeah, they're trying to. Their relationship is basically a peace between the two mafia families, a non-aggression pact, if you will. And okay, fine, but why don't the problem is we don't see all hell break out when he leaves Anna because he's found Laura, right? Why? Why don't we see any? Lose 1 or 7 sex scenes in a film and you have the space to put in some kind of backstory that gives us the world. At this point, it's just sex in expensive locations.
Well, okay, but they did show a bit of it in the first movie where
A
Anna
little
was
bit.
like, you realize you found her and I'm going to kill her.
Yes.
And that was it. And
there was the one scene where she tries to run away after like being taken to Massimo's place the first time, right? Where she gets into the courtyard just as they're killing somebody and then she passes out. Okay, that's the closest we get to the mafia world.
You've got to think, though, that the interception of the car that Laura and Olga were in, like, we don't actually see what happened. We don't know what happened. We do hear that Laura made the choice to lose her child over it. But I was thinking about that. I was like, so is this really a scenario where you want to bring a child into?
Mm-hmm.
You're married into the mafia, like a mafia family that you've got some scorned ex that's trying to kill you. Do you really want to bring a child into that scenario?
No.
Like,
and clearly, becoming parents, I don't think was on front of mind. They just, all the sex was on front of mind.
On the other hand, when Massimo finds out, and how did he find out? I missed that.
So you remember in the end of the second movie, the twin brother reveals that she lost the child after the accident. That's when he finds out.
So, I mean, how did he knew?
So
he was there.
To find out from his estranged twin brother who's got a gun to his wife's head, standing beside his ex who's got a gun to his head.
Yeah.
That he could have been a father and that Laura wasn't the one to tell him. Even though Laura admits in the third film that she didn't tell him because she didn't want to be the cause of a turf war. Yeah. When you tie all the red string around the pins on the corkboard, nothing still makes sense. But it doesn't in a very... I almost understand watching these 3 films why people watch soap operas. Because even though soap operas aren't exactly the most... And I apologize if you dear listeners, like soap operas, but bear with me. I'm just speaking from my standpoint on this. Soap operas are not necessarily highbrow entertainment, but you get sucked up into the soapness of it.
You could watch only on every second Monday, and you can just pick up where it left off 2 weeks previous.
Yeah.
Soap operas are long, brooding, character-driven storylines that you get to know the characters and they become almost like an extended family, or you're so involved in this storyline that you can't look away.
But that's the problem with soap operas. Like, everyone's rich, right? Everyone's, has power positions or high paying jobs or whatever. Everyone's important in a soap opera, right? And that's kind of what it feels like here. Everyone's high up in the mafia except for Olga and Laura. And Laura, by definition, is also high up because she's married to Massimo, right? Everyone is rich and everyone's powerful and everyone's sexy. And like, that's soap opera levels at that point. But then you get Carolina Pisaric, who plays Amelia, Nacho's sister. This is where I think the grounding to Nacho comes from, because she doesn't come off as part of a mafia family. She's happy and pregnant, even though she's pregnant, to marry to someone who's not a good father kind of thing. But your thoughts on Amelia, Nacho's sister?
I thought she was absolutely adorable. And again, grounded Nacho and really showed his soft and sweet and family driven side.
Yeah.
So she was just so sweet. I loved when she found out that Nacho had what Nacho had done.
Mm-hmm.
and to Laura. And she's like, I didn't talk to him for like a week. Like, you could tell that in their family dynamic,
that's a big thing.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
You know, they were so close. And yeah, she just seemed so sweet and so grounded and so human.
But that also shows the character of Laura as well. Like, it wasn't long that she had known Amelia, and instantly Amelia's like, I'm not going to talk to Nacho for a week for how he treated you. Right? Like that says something about Laura. If she can get Amelia to like her that much in a short span of time.
But not only that, she showed Nacho's softer side.
Yeah.
Like she made the dynamic between the brother and sister and family love made Nacho. I think when you compare the coldness of Massimo, it made him that much more intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
That Laura was like, I want a family. I want children. I want to be pregnant like Nacho's sister.
Yeah.
And she wanted that. She wanted that.
She wanted the ideal, yeah.
Security. And she kind of liked the little beach house. And
that beach house was awesome, though.
And you know what? He came around when she needed to feel safe and loved.
Mm-hmm.
And she was in a really hurt, dark place. She didn't feel loved, and she just kind of felt like almost like a possession.
Yeah.
And kind of maybe brought back would have to be some scarring emotions from being kidnapped, first of all. Let's not forget how she got there in the first place. She was kidnapped while she was on vacation.
Yeah.
So
by someone's like, are you a lost baby girl? No, I know exactly where I am. You go get lost.
So, you know.
Also, who says that to a stranger?
He didn't exactly come off as a romantic type, Massimo. He maybe that increased her strength and her toughness and, you know, her boss lady shell almost that she had to put up because she felt like such a victim.
I also love the fact, just getting back to Laura here for a second, because leading off of something that you said, I love that when things were going south between Laura and Massimo, Laura dove into her fashion business, even though that's what, it was a gift from Massimo. She dove into work and she basically tried to level up at that point. Meanwhile, Massimo was like, I don't think he wants to do his work anymore. Massimo is lost. And yeah, the fact that when they pass each other on the path and she's the one that kind of bumps his shoulder, like she's in charge, right? Like she's the boss lady now. Laura does level up in the third film.
And I kind of liked that about Massimo, that when he realized that he lost Laura, it was almost like, and it wasn't even his doing, but he realized that she was gone before she left.
Yeah, because everything that happened, like, he understood why she left once he found out exactly what had happened. That she had seen his twin brother that she didn't know existed, having sex with Anna. That's why she ran away. Once Massimo found that out, it was like, okay, I understand, right? Even though he didn't like it, he understood, right? We do see a little bit of evolution. Maybe I'm being a little tough on Massimo earlier, but we do see someone who's so used to control falling out of it because everything happens around him. And he can't stop it. And the only way he could stop it is to stop being Massimo.
Well, I said earlier, I think what was missing in the build of their relationship, aside from there was copious amounts of sex, but was there love? Was there enough love and security and safety that Laura felt? And I'm not talking about mafia protection. I'm talking about...
That's the one thing. Like, when you take a look at the sex scenes in this film, right? The majority of the sex scenes between Laura and Massimo, they involve things like toys and a little bit of bondage here and there. And it seems like the sex is almost like a power struggle, right? Whether she teases him to the point that he can't restrain himself from wanting her, to the whole neck around the throat kind of thing, like you're going to do this and you're going to do this kind of thing. But yet you take a look at the sex scenes between Laura and Nacho, and those feel more passionate. It's not holding, it's caressing, right?
I thought what was hilarious when Nacho said, "Take anything you want from me," and she took off his necklace. I thought that was cute.
Right. But that's the thing. He said, "Take anything you want from me." And Massimo was like, "I'm going to take what I want from you."
Yes. But you know what I loved is almost the parallel of the buildup of the relationship with Olga and Dominic.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, Dominic comes in with the rose in between his teeth, and Olga's in the bath trying to ignore him and stay strong. And then he starts throwing in rose petals into her tub, and just, it's
playful,
cute and funny and playful and light. Whereas the buildup of the relationship of Laura and Massimo was just, it almost seemed doomed from the start.
Yeah. The sex scenes between Olga and Dominic feel more like a young married couple, like stealing away moments where they can and giggling a lot through all of it, right? Like that's the couple. That's the ideal that Laura wants and Massimo doesn't know how to attain.
The relationship goals.
Exactly.
They were goals.
Olga and Domenico are goals, as are Ever Kasparisk and Dariusz Jakubowski, who play Laura's parents, but only in the second and third films. In the first film, it was played by two other people. Your thoughts on Laura's parents?
Okay, I absolutely loved the third movie. And I loved, where Laura goes back to Poland and is sitting with her mom, and her mom's trying to give her advice, which I disagree with some of the things written in the script. I'm like, that doesn't seem like a 50-50.
That's not good advice. No.
That's not, no, because you know what? I think, and actually, it makes a lot of sense with Laura in her power position with Massimo. And the mom almost kind of mirrored that with her speech. And I think, you know what? That's horrible advice. If that's the parenting and the relationship that she's grown to admire and look for herself, that's maybe where it's stemming from, But her dad, the scene where they go off on the motorcycles and they're riding through town and he stops for a cup of coffee
and a
lemonade. Oh my God. That was just such a incredible moment where you see the relationship between a father and daughter.
That's the thing. Laura's dad is played in this very unassuming, but yet very confident in his love for, his wife and his daughter. Like, you don't need to be muy macho. You don't need to be powerful. You just need to be confident, committed, and
loving.
Yeah.
The parents had such a loving relationship, but mom definitely ruled the home.
Mom ruled the roost, but dad made a nest, right? Even though mom kind of runs the nest, dad helped make the nest and solidifies the nest. All right. We have to take a look at the trilogy as a whole. And this is the only trilogy that I can think of where every entry sits at a 0% score. And I've mentioned my thoughts on 0% films, that there is no such thing as a film so bad that it's worth a nothing. Your thoughts? Are these 0% films?
I completely disagree with giving them a 0 rating. However, I understand where it may be stemming from.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the gratuitous sex scenes, like the second movie was one after another, one couple, another couple.
I fully agree with the second film being rated the lowest of the 3 on the aggregate.
Yes. However, if you cut out or if you can get past and overlook the sex breaks, this is a great storyline. If you can get past the gratuitous sex, this is, at the heart of it, a really great mafia storyline.
I'm going to argue with that. I don't think it's a good mafia storyline.
I think it is.
Hear me out.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good mafia storyline. I do think that it's a decent, soapy, kind of suck you in with the, not gratuitous, but it's Hallmark for pervs is basically what it is.
Where I say it's a good mafia storyline is when you look at a series, and I know it's television versus movie, but you look at a TV series like The Sopranos, you know that the family, the Soprano name, is gold in their neighborhood where they live. In Jersey. Okay, so in Sicily, Massimo rules. And
but
now there's the two families.
We don't see it.
But as far as the power that Massimo holds, the level of untouchableness that Laura has. I mean, she was pushing some boundaries. I loved in the club where she was warned, like, you can't play with these people. Like, but she was pushing her boundary and flirting, with other men. And, that's where inevitably, like, he gets his hand shot for touching Massimo's wife, right?
Not wife at that point.
Yeah, okay,
just his prospective love. Yes,
his girl. You don't mess with. But you know what? It showed that dynamic that she was seeing how far she could push this, how much she could play. But Massimo.
I mean, there's a little bit of mafia, but there's not enough to say it's a good mafia story. I think part of the problem too is the entire premise for, Laura trying to, or at least being given 365 days to fall in love with him. That's a crappy premise. I'm going to kidnap you until you fall in love with me. That's not the basis for a love story.
And I don't think that was it. I think that's the surface. But if you think about Laura's year, from her 29th birthday to her 30th.
Yes.
She started out with some bloke that couldn't care less about her. Like, she felt alone.
Yeah.
She felt lonely and unloved.
This was Martin, as played by Matus Lasowski. Yes.
And then she meets Massimo. Well, then Massimo
meets her,
kidnaps her, brings her to his world. He brings her into this world. He gives her everything that she could ever want. Into his world. And at first she fights it, and then she starts to accept it, and then she's led to believe that she loves him. But all within a year, or at this point, it's probably a couple months. It's not even, we can't even be at the full year yet, because as things go, she gets her heart broken. She marries Massimo.
Right.
Then gets her heart broken.
Upon false pretenses.
Loses a child along the way.
Yeah.
And then meets who maybe not. She meets Nacho. Is he meant? Like, was he sent by the universe to show her love?
Yeah.
Finally, at the end of the year.
Can she then eventually get past not a lie, but an omission of to who exactly he is? Because he never tells her off the bat that he is also related to a mafia crime family.
But he never lies, and
no, but he omits it.
there were red flags. There were warnings along the way, like the dude that broke into his house.
Yep.
Again, how does he afford a Corvette on a gardener's salary? I asked you that. I'm like, he's a gardener, right?
Right.
Where does he get this money to live, like beachside property and Corvette? He must be one hell of a gardener.
Yeah.
Netflix has a new monstrous story to tell. In 1950s Wisconsin, Ed Gein lived quietly on a decaying farm, hiding a house of horrors so gruesome it would redefine the American nightmare. Driven by isolation, psychosis, and an all-consuming obsession with his mother, he committed crimes that would haunt Hollywood for decades. The third and most harrowing installment of Ryan Murphy and Ian Brennan's anthology series. Watch Monster, the Ed Gein story, streaming now only on Netflix.
Okay, so let me throw it to you this way, right? So this is, for lack of a better definition, an erotic thriller series. So let me ask you, is this sexy?
No. It was literally, you become desensitized to the amount of sex. Like, by the second movie, and I'm not even kidding, it was one scene to another, switch couples to another sex scene. There was no story building until the end third of the second movie.
Yeah.
Like, it literally became like almost a drinking game. And if I did, I would have been drunk by the end of the movie.
365 days is a drinking game, we would have lost.
It was almost kind of like annoying, except for the fact that you're like, okay, and now they're here? Like, how did they get here?
Okay, so let me put it into comparison then, right? So obviously we draw comparisons to 50 Shades of Grey, okay? Which to you is the sexier film?
That's a great question. I truly feel that 365 Days was the better movie. The sexier movie, arguably, yes. Now, keep in mind, I'm only comparing the first of the 50 Shades of Grey movie.
Right.
But this one had that element of power, money, glitz, and that glamour of a mafia world. Like Massimo took Laura into this world and kind of gave her everything. And eventually she also took the power to accept it. And it was on her terms, whereas 50 Shades was almost kind of like started as a business deal, and then it was I found 50 Shades of Grey to be more cat and mouse without the adoration that Massimo felt for Laura.
Well, I think in the first 50 Shades film, you have to recognize that a lot of it is based on permission, right? The whole BDSM thing, it's about permission. It's about, she gave her consent for the things that Christian Grey did to her, right? Laura, at first, did not give consent to be put into this situation, right? At every point in the turn in 50 Shades of Grey, Christian Grey gave Anastasia Steele the opportunity to walk away. He gave her the power with a safe word. He gave her all of these outs, and she gave permission to be part of that. Laura is snatched away, holed up in this mafia stronghold, and said, you have 365 days to fall in love with me. And if you don't, then you can go away. That's a year.
Okay, but on the other hand, Massimo gave Laura a lifestyle, a title, power, And it was all driven, whether it was right or wrong, but driven out of a adoration or a fascination about his one-time memory of seeing her without actually meeting her, without knowing anything about her. He saw her on a beach through binoculars, no doubt. So they didn't even have a moment of connection. He's literally just some dude at the top of a building looking out and spying on her, actually, to, kidnapping her while on vacation. It's creepy, but again, he is in that power position of having his mafia family title. It's about title, and
it's a different world for sure.
It is a completely different world, but it's also, I think, if you break that down, there is also a love and adoration there.
All right. Before we get to our MVPs, I have to put this out there, and I've already mentioned spoilers like a mofo. So at this point, you're on your own. We get to the end of the third film, and Laura comes to Massimo. Massimo already knows about her and Nacho. He knows. And he gives her a choice. Massimo or Nacho. And the movie ends with Laura not saying anything.
Oh, I'm so glad you're bringing this up.
So, obviously, the movie ends on a cliffhanger. It ends not with a resolution, but with a question. So I'm going to ask you, Carrie, in your opinion, what does Laura choose?
Well, they definitely set it up for the next 365.
I don't think there's another movie coming.
I think there is, because there was no closure. And
I don't think there is. I think it's better to end on non-closure.
Oh, it'll be so interesting to see if they double back to it. I mean, with 3 movies at a 0 rating critic score, they might not, but I would, if I were to script the 4th movie, okay, I would cut a lot of sex scenes out, but I would add one, and it would be a romantic connection. It would be closure.
Between who?
That Laura would have with Nacho.
You think she would go to Massimo?
I think she would leave Massimo, yeah.
Okay, first of all, I don't want a 4th film. I love the idea that this ends with a question for the viewer. It's like at the end of Lost in Translation with Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson, right? Bill Murray is going back home, and Scarlett Johansson finds him and runs up to him and whispers something in his ear. We don't know what she says. And they just kind of stare at each other before separating, going their separate ways. And you're left to ponder and hypothesize as to what happens after that scene. That's how Lost in Translation ends. And it's a great scene. And I love when a movie leaves the ending up for interpretation. So if I'm, let me dial it back here now. If I'm hypothesizing what I think Laura would choose, I think she chooses neither. I think she turns Massimo down, and then she turns Nacho down, and she takes Olga, and they go back home to Poland because she sees the effect that everything's having on Olga. That lifestyle is tearing her friend apart.
You know what I love is this, the scene where they're in the hotel room and she says to Olga, I don't know if you're in this for you or me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like, Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we see the effect that Olga's fear of what Massimo is going to do to Laura on Olga. And I think Laura sees that too. So if I'm writing the unwritten ending of 365 days, I think Laura chooses neither and chooses to go home and leave that entire scene. A changed woman, maybe. Maybe this is her. And it's even funny. Like, she says to Olga, it's like, I'll come back and we'll toast my resurrection. I think she's ready to leave all of it behind. Knowing that no matter what she chooses between Massimo and Nacho, that it's just a life of more agony and pain and lies and deceit.
But 2 relationships end for that to happen.
Yep.
I'm not sure that
3.
Olga...
3, because Olga would probably leave Domenico.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, yeah, you're counting Nacho and Massimo. I don't think it's fair, because I really think that Olga and Domenico are adorable.
So maybe Domenico leaves as well.
I don't know. You can't just leave a mafia family,
Why
can
can't
you?
you? Why can't you?
People lose fingers, baby fingers that way.
He's not going to the other family. He's just getting out.
I don't think there is no out, is there?
I think that's what the feeling of the third film is.
He'll know too much.
I think the third film is all about getting out. It's called The Next 365 Days. So this is the end of that year. We are on Laura's 30th birthday and she was kidnapped on her 29th. What's the next 365 days? Her resurrection, she goes back to normal life. That's my take on the ending.
Maybe she doesn't. Maybe she goes back without Olga.
Maybe.
But I don't know if Olga would end her relationship as a result. I can't see that happening.
Maybe not Olga leaving Domenico, but I think Laura goes back to Poland without either. And she moves her business there. But that's just my thought on it.
Well, I mean, think about Massimo, right? If he put forth the rules to the game, he has to understand that he would have to live with the consequence. So, with that said, if she chooses Nacho and she follows her heart and she feels safe with Nacho.
But is that her heart, though?
Would Massimo not love her so much to the point that he would rather see her happy and in love?
Does he love Nacho because he's the opposite of Massimo?
There was something, though, in that scene where she dropped a glass and Nacho carried her to safety.
Mm-hmm.
And then Massimo did the same thing.
Yeah.
And instead of it melting her heart or breaking her down a little bit, it brought her back to thinking about Nacho.
Yeah. And the extremely wet dream she was having when Massimo was trying to,
Which tells me that she has been through every type of relationship in the last year. Okay. In the span of a year, she was unloved to she was an object of affection and held against her will to maybe fate caused her to meet Nacho.
Or maybe she leaves Massimo to save him because she can see that Massimo's falling apart. He is losing control of everything that is his world and the mafia world, whatever. Maybe she leaves him to help him. But that's why I think I like the fact that there is no resolution to the end of this trilogy. Not to leave room for another film, but to leave room for the viewer to take the interpretation that makes sense to them. And at least a great discussion too, which is what we've done now for the better part of an hour and a half. But now we get to our MVP of the entire 365 Days trilogy. Carrie, who's on your list?
Without a doubt, it's Laura. She holds strong through all 3 movies. And even when the scenes when she's breaking down, or she's unsure. I think it only makes her a more powerful force. Like, she is so incredibly talented and played it so well.
I mean, she actually was really, really good in this film. It was really hard to not pick Laura because she is the center of an entire trilogy, right? I'm a little shocked at you because I thought I knew who was going to be your MVP, and it's a few people we haven't talked about yet. All right, so dear listeners, you have to understand that during the watching of this entire trilogy, my lovely wife Carrie was giving Laura the Manhattan once over every single scene.
At the sunglasses.
So, Magdalena Secretia and Malgorzata Skorupa were the costume designers for the first film, and Peter Konski was the costume designer for the 2 sequels. I actually looked them up because I thought you were going to bring up her outfits.
Oh my God. I feel like I have failed you somehow.
I called you out on this one here. From an acting character perspective, my MVP is Magdalena Lamparska, who played Olga. Again, Olga is such a critical linchpin character to everyone around her, even though she's not the main character. I do agree that Laura is a fantastic character, played extraordinarily well by Anna Maria. I think she was great. But I have a co-MVP, and it's, again, someone we haven't talked about yet. Bartek Sirlika is the cinematographer on all 3 films. Say what you will about anything in this film. Make all the negative comments you want. This trilogy looked fantastic. It was shot so well that I think credit needs to be given where credit is due. The cinematography is spot on, but I loved Olga. I thought she was way too much fun. Carrie, thank you so much for this. And dear listeners, 200 episodes. Didn't even think the show would make it this far, but look where we are and look where we're going to go down the road. This has been such a fun journey. And to know that we have been listened to around the world over these 200 episodes. And you know what? I looked it up. Haven't been listened to in Sicily yet.
Ooh, maybe this is our chance.
This is our chance.
Or Poland.
We have been listened to in Warsaw, Poland. Not a lot, a little bit, but we have been listened to there. But we have not been listened to in Sicily.
Maybe this is the breakout episode.
This is it. 365 days. Here we go. All right, Carrie, thank you so much for this. And to you, our dear listeners, thank you for listening to us for these last 200 episodes. And we guarantee you at least another 200 more. But until next time, you guys know the drill. If there is a movie out there that you think is unfairly maligned, or there is no way in Sicily that we can find anything good to say about it, hit us up on social media at Not That Badcast, or go to our website at notthatbadcast.com. And while you're there, make sure you bookmark the page, because we are smack dab in the middle of Mocktober. Even though we're taking a little break to celebrate, you want to make sure you catch what we got coming up. Until next time, she's Carrie, I'm Jay. You guys are awesome. This is It's Not That Bad, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I don't know if you've heard, but Mint's premium wireless is $15 a month. But I'd like to offer one other perk. We have no stores. That means no small talk. Crazy weather we're having. No, it's not. It's just weather. It is an introvert's dream. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.